Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the world famous Rich Wilson Show. I am Rich Wilson, and I have no pants. So anyway, folks, welcome back. It's been a weekend, hasn't it? Definitely been a weekend. But say we get started on with tonight's show, shall we? Tonight we're going to talk about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his hypocrisy. Spotify makes a statement concerning Joe Rogan and the has-beens. Joe Rogan and the has-beens. If he comes out with a band name that, I'm going after him for copywriting. Well, I didn't copyright it, but I created it. I just want to be I just want to be their security personally. That's all I'd want out of it. Also, we're going to talk about there's been an update in the Ahmaud Arbery case. Also, we're going to get into BLM Cofounder is in the news again. We'll try to get to the Super Bowl news from this weekend. I really hope nobody followed my picks. It would be bad, and no, I'm not responsible for your poor life decisions. And like I said, and we'll see where we get with this. But let's go ahead and start with our top story of tonight. By the way, for everybody out there on Facebook, hello. For everybody out there on Twitch tonight, hello. And for everybody on YouTube, hello. And everybody else out in the world, hello. So anyway, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tests positive for COVID. Couldn't have happened to a better asshole. Anyway, now what makes this ironic is Mr. Trudeau told everybody, get vaccinated, get all the boosters, get more boosters, get boosters of boosters, get boosters on, and of course I always tell people, boost your car, but it doesn't mean the same thing, I guess. So anyway, wear masks, keep social distancing. The guy is an absolute, I don't know what you would call it. I don't necessarily think that I would call him horrifically like neurotic about it, but he is a little bit ridiculous, a little bit OCD, which, hey, if that's what works for him, so be it. And he was sitting there talking about how all the truck drivers have to get the vaccination and everything because, they're alone in their trucks and they're not really around anybody else. But they have to get vaccine because, that could be a problem. But yet this man follows the letter completely about the social distancing, the masking, the shots and everything else. And he still got COVID. I'll go ahead and say, you are the most neurotic person on the face of the earth when it comes to this pandemic. And you're the one going around telling everybody to what they have to do in order to be safe. And then your dumb ass goes and gets COVID. I wonder if it has anything to do with being caught, at places with no mask on around a bunch of people. Kind of like the governor of California at the Rams 49ers playoff game. You're a fucking hypocrite, period. You tell all these people that they have to do this, and then you tell the truck drivers that if they don't, by the way, Tyrant Newsom isn't any better. Stephanie Rose is over on the Facebook chat over there. So yeah, it's, like I said, it's absolutely ridiculous. You tell all these people they have to do this, and then you tell the truck drivers that if they don't get these vaccines, which once again, they're alone in the truck. They're not around anybody. But if they don't get it, they can't drive their trucks. Right now, they're not even allowed to cross the border. And then your ass goes out, and when they did the protest, he took off. He left town. He wasn't even there. And then, and then here's another thing. And the reason why I put the pictures up that I put up today, especially Trudeau in blackface, is because Trudeau and staff said that the people involved in some of the people involved in the trucker protest are racist white supremacists. Says a man who was sporting blackface, and it'll come around again in a minute, because I've got this revolving on these pictures. I mean, the guy's a dork. There he is, right there. That Canadian Prime Minister telling people you're racist. Yeah, sure. You got no business, sir, telling other people what they can and cannot do if you're not even willing to do it yourself. Same thing goes for Newsom. Newsom, same thing. Caught at the Rams-Niners game with no mask on, not social distancing, and then he tried to backtrack it today by saying, "Oh, well, I only took it off when people wanted to take a picture with me," which I guess happened the entire game. The entire game, it was so he never watched the game. By what he's saying, he never watched it. I just thought this is absolute asinine. That somebody could sit there, like I said, and lecture you and lecture the truck drivers. And here's the other problem you got here, Mr. Trudeau. Go ahead and piss the truckers off. Go ahead. Because here's what's going to happen when you do. You think you got supply issues now? How else do you think it's getting to you? Oh, somebody said, when somebody asked that same question, they said, "Oh, well, we'll get it because, trains." How's it going to get from the train yard to the store shelves? Because it damn sure ain't going to get there by itself. The train can't go off the track, go down Main Street, back up to a loading dock and unload itself. Okay, it's going to require people. It's going to require a truck to get loaded by people. Take the truck, and here's the thing: dock workers in Canada are saying that they're supporting the truckers, and if you sideline the truckers, they're not going to work either. They're going to go on strike. And the worst part is 63% of your country, when they were last polled, said they support the truckers. I mean, hello, your own people. Like I said, this guy's an absolute dork. He runs this country like Stephanie said, like a tyrant. He himself obviously is a racist, and then he has the nerve, another rich white dude, telling people what's racist. And I talked about that to you guys on Friday. It's another white liberal telling you what racism is. He's an absolute idiot. He's an absolute idiot. I don't like the guy. I've never liked the guy. Every time he opens his mouth, I get this weird feeling about him, kind of like girls do when they're around Joe Biden with long hair. I just get this weird feeling. Every time I see the man, every time the man talks, it's just like, it's at some point I wish I knew the French words for go away. But it is what it is. Another story I got for you guys tonight. As soon as I get my mouse over here. By the way, I'm working with some additional equipment, so I might be a little catchy. Other top story tonight, Spotify. Spotify CEO on Joe Rogan COVID controversy. We won't censor. He also acknowledged that Spotify hasn't been transparent about its policies regarding content that it hosts. Let's see. Daniel Eck noted in a blog post that doctors and scientists as well as Spotify subscribers have raised the questions about the company's policies and the lines we have drawn between what is acceptable and what is not. It has become clear to me, Eck wrote, that we have an obligation to do more to provide a balance and access to widely accepted information from medical and scientific communities guiding us through the unprecedented time. All right, so check this out. So Spotify is not taking Joe Rogan's stuff down, okay? It's not happening, okay? Neil Young, who you saw, Neil Young made that whole to-do about remove my music or remove Joe Rogan, okay? It did not hurt Spotify when they removed. And here's the worst part. Neil Young tried to backtrack it when he realized it wasn't going to work. And Spotify took his stuff down anyway. And then the worst part is now you got a bunch of has-beens or nobodies jumping on this wagon to try and become relevant. I don't know if you guys remember, Rebecca Black was her name. She's the daughter. She was this daughter. She is the daughter. I don't know if he still is or not. The executive vice president of Tower Records or Columbia Records, right? I remember he was vice president when I was on the air back about 11 or 12 years ago when I had my own radio show, and she came out with this song. It's Friday. It is the most annoying, horrific song, and you could tell that she got the song simply because of who she is, or who her dad is. She announced today she's taking her stuff off of Spotify unless they take off Rogan's podcast. Out of 7,000 tweets that responded to her announcement, I think only one person knew who she was. Nobody else knew who she was. And the worst part about it is because she's done this stunt, so be prepared. More are going to come. I ought to tell Spotify, take my stuff off or else. I don't have anything on Spotify, but don't tell nobody. But yeah, it's what they're doing is they're using this situation because first of all, the left got caught in a lie over this. Okay. So, if you guys if you've been living under a rock and not familiar, Joe Rogan did a podcast where his guest was Dr. Malone, and Dr. Malone talked about the bullshit behind this, but he didn't only talk about the bullshit behind this whole pandemic. He also talked about some of the positives from it, and he also talked about the psychosis. It's not like Rogan is interviewing nut jobs. These guys are leaders in their field, and they are bringing facts and science. Not according to one side of the fence where you have to believe our science. If you don't believe our science, you're wrong. So, and he's had, like Zion Brent said, he's had people who are intellectual leaders in the field. Okay, these aren't just. You talk to Bob Crackhead at the corner. These guys are literally multi-PhD. They're specifics in these fields. And, of course, so like I said, the lie that came out. Okay, two lies. Number one, that Dr. Malone was not certified to talk about what he talked about. Well, that's a lie because he is certified in the fields that he was discussing. That another guy that he had on, Zion Brent will remind me of the name, the guy that actually developed the mass formation psychosis theory. They said that he wasn't certified in his field of psychology and statistics, which that's a lie. Multiple PhDs in that field. Fake science, fake news, fake outrage, fake hate, legit ideas stand up to scrutiny. Ethics. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of being. They're afraid of people finding out that they're bullshit. But anyway, that turned out to be a lie by them. Multiple PhDs. And then on top of this, Several hundreds and hundreds of doctors and scientists have signed the petition to get Joe Rogan removed from Spotify. Well, that too was a lie. It wasn't hundreds and hundreds of thousands of doctors that signed this. It was 100 and change that weren't even really weren't medical doctors, and in fact, they could only prove maybe 7 of them had an actual PhD in animal psychology or animal science. And Dr. Matthias Desmet. Yes, that was him. Dr. Matthias Desmet. They try to say he wasn't certified in his in what he does. That's an absolute lie. Multiple PhDs. So anyway, they could only confirm that there was 7 doctors in the initial deal that had PhDs, and it was like in animal science. Okay, and nothing. One had a actually, and funny thing is one of them literally had a PhD in political science. That doesn't mean you're a physician. Okay, having a doctorate in something doesn't make you a doctor. The only one that they determined in the entire initial petition that was a doctor was a former dentist who had his license revoked. And of course, as soon as they started pointing this out, every single person, was decided to go out and share this and get all these people to sign it. And before too long, legitimate doctors and scientists started signing it. But it was only because the bullshit got caught. Okay, because that's what it was. It was bullshit. Joe did make an announcement today, and I couldn't get a copy of the video to play for you, but Joe basically said he will do the one thing that he is going to do differently than what he has done in the past is when he does one of these long podcast interviews with someone like Malone, then what he will try to do is get some guests on that support the other side or have an argument to it so it can be a little more balanced. And yes, I know that the theory that Desmet developed is that the mass formation is happening now, and this does go back to Sigmund Freud, Dr. Sigmund Freud. Now, of course, I tell you that Dr. Sigmund Freud was in the foundation stages of the creationists. He wasn't the only one. And you'll get a whole bunch of whack jobs that are going to turn around and tell me that Sigmund Freud wasn't a real doctor. That'll be next. Because any single doctor, here's the thing, any single doctor that comes out and disputes what our science is immediately criticized and told, and I would love to see somebody say this and then Fauci come out and say Dr. Freud wasn't an actual doctor. Also multiple PhDs in psychology and psychoanalysis. There was a couple other ones that I don't remember what they were. But I'd love to see some people come out and say Dr. Freud was not a real doctor. Yes, he was. He was certified medically to treat psychosis and different psychoses. So yes, he was a medical doctor, because in order to do that, in order to do those kinds of things and prescribe medication and be able to treat people on a medical level, you have to be a doctor. Freud didn't develop it. There were any other notables, but the idea goes as far back as Freud's time. No, I didn't say Freud developed it directly. I said Freud was involved in the research to the development of the theory itself. I did find that online. But like I said, Dr. Freud is going to be the only one in that list of names that anybody's going to remember. And of course, they're going to sit there and say that Freud isn't a real doctor. But like I said, Rogan said that he's going to try to do some response videos, or we'll do some response interviews to give it maybe a little bit more balance. But he said he is not going to shy away. Now, did I will tell you this much? Did Neil Young get anything out of saying he's taking his stuff off? Nope. His views on YouTube didn't go. Views on YouTube went up temporarily just for people to realize who Neil Young was. Same thing with the other one that I don't even know who she was. And a couple other people, they claimed there'd be some YouTube hits, but it would be temporarily. But there was no real, there was no real increases for it. So it did them nothing, and that's why Neil Young tried to retract it, because it literally it did them nothing, and that's the bad part about it is it was a stunt. The whole thing was a stunt, and it didn't work. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I because these morons, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to become important again and relevant. And no, you're not. You're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. Just go back to doing what you do, making music. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger sitting there. Oh, this was hilarious. This is a little side note. Arnold Schwarzenegger got into a car wreck. Now, if y'all ain't paid attention lately, Arnold Schwarzenegger's been on this environmental kick, telling everybody to cut down and drive electric vehicles, and he's been real big about driving electric vehicles, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger was in an accident yesterday. Was it yesterday or Saturday? Okay. No, I'm sorry. I retract that. It was last weekend. Last weekend, yes. Not this past weekend, the weekend before. Okay, was in an accident. And when they showed pictures of the accident, here's the irony of this. Okay, there was a Prius involved in this accident, but it wasn't Arnold's. I don't think Arnold could fit in a Prius. He might. Zion Brink could tell you she owned one. But he was driving the biggest Cadillac SUV they make. He ran into a Prius. In fact, drove up onto the Prius with it. This is the man telling everybody to drive electric vehicles, to stop driving gas-guzzling automobiles, to help save the environment. And this accident happened an hour after he landed back from giving a speech for the environment in his private jet. Because rich people that are well, not rich people, because there are some very intelligent rich people, Elon Musk, okay? But some of these whack jobs who want to remain relevant jump on these causes and have the worst. And here's the thing, Arnold, if you want me to own an electric vehicle and only drive an electric vehicle, that's cool. Buy it. Because here's the problem. Electric vehicles cost more money than I have still. Zion Brand, Dr. Scott Atlas, who was part of the task force, has also done a lecture on from Hillsdale College. Many doctors coming out to put the actual science and data into the light. Good. They're all going to get told that they don't have real degrees and they're whack jobs. That's what they're going to get told. Because it's not our science. Our science is king. Remember that from Friday. You have to believe in our science. People are getting sick and tired of it. People are getting sick and tired of listening to celebrities lecture us about how we should live our lives when they don't do it. We're tired of political leaders telling us what we should do with masks and vaccines and everything else when they don't do it. I mean, the vaccines they do. But they don't mask up. They don't social distance. And look, every single idiot, that politician that's gone out and told us we all have to do this and everybody has to be this way has ended up catching COVID. Why? Because if I keep trying to explain it, at some point my head's going to explode. Okay, that's the sad reality of all this. Okay, that really is the sad reality of all this. So folks, do your thing. Stay safe. Whatever you got to do, but do your thing. Don't listen to these idiots. Okay? They don't need to lecture us on how to live when they don't. I don't even listen to them anymore. I just thought it was hilarious. That I just thought this was absolutely hilarious that this happened. That, you know, here's old Arnie telling me how to live my life for the environment, gets off of his private jet, then gets in a car wreck in his humongous ass Cadillac that he could probably fit his family and the family he created with the maid while he's cheating on his wife, all in the same vehicle, and wrecked it into a Prius. You know, so it is what it is. I get tired of these people. And I get tired of the morons that sit there and try to tell me, well, Arnold said this or so-and-so said this, so you should do it. Yeah, well, when they pay for that lifestyle, I'll do it. Because that lifestyle ain't cheap. Anybody seen a going rate for a Tesla these days? And Elon Musk said that they've scrapped the $20,000 edition, that they're not even making it. I like how that's showing up on my screen first before it shows up here. They are all just people. They don't know more because they're famous or in charge. Members of the government promotes incompetence. I had to take a drink. Like I said, Elon Musk said they're scrapping the $20,000 Tesla idea right now. They're not even putting it in development. Probably because they looked at it right now for cost and the shortage on chips and everything else right now. You can't do it. You can't make a $20,000 Tesla right now and make any real profit margin off of it. So why do it? Demand's in business. Why would you take your business and lose money? You don't. That's not how it works. The left would like you to think it's how it works. You know, that's how Joe Biden thinks it works, is that you should lose money to make money. And it's just like, you know, it's kind of like, it's like his same theory that, well, I'm not even, because what it staggered me really badly today. This is how bad they don't want him. I'm going to move to Joe Biden for a second, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to get stuck stammering on and sounding pointless like him, but Joe Biden today had the meeting of the state governors, and when he was done with his incoherent babbling in the beginning, because I watched the opening to it while the press was still allowed to be there, and Jesus, that man it's I'm sorry. I used to sit there and tell people I don't think that he's as incognito as everybody says he is. And the last couple days, I've watched some of his opening statements before having some kind of a meeting or something like that. There's something wrong with that man. And I believe the people that are leaving him where he is ought to be looked into for abuse. The man shouldn't be there. He is not fit to be the leader of the United States of America. I'm sorry. I don't like the guy. I've never denied that. But personal feelings aside, watching the last couple speeches he has given before some meeting, it's downright scary. He barely put together a coherent sentence today when he did the opening welcoming the governors. And then what's worse is they knew they didn't need any more gaffes out of Joe. Joe turns around as soon as he does, and he looks to the press and goes, I'll take some questions before we get started. And as soon as he did that, you hear the White House aides looking at all the members of the press, telling the press, all right, it's time to go. It's time to go. We're not taking any questions. We're not taking any. Joe just told them he's going to take some questions. And the White House staff turns around and ushers the press out as the press starts trying to ask questions. Zion Brand, he also said they solved nothing as long as the electricity comes from the coal plants. He wants energy, diversity, and green. I would like to see green energy. Everyone would like to see green energy. I would love for us to not have to send people down underground to risk their life to get black lung and everything else, digging out coal out of the ground, if we could find a way to make things more efficient green-wise. Now, people will tell you, we made stuff that's efficient. No, we didn't. Here's the bad part, right? Everybody blamed Trump and the Republicans in Texas when last winter the green energy power system failed. Okay? When it just went bonkers. They blamed the Republicans for that. Okay? The thing was, they built that equipment for Texas. Okay? This was a once in 500 years winter storm. It's not like that. It's not like Massachusetts where this happens every year. Okay, so when they built the equipment and they put it out here, they developed it for what to survive the average winter temperatures and the average summer temperatures. Now, they gave it a little plus or minus on that to give it some breathing room, but that's what they did. Okay, and then we got a once in 500 year storm. And the power grid failed. Why? Because the system was not designed to handle that. Okay? It was not designed, and everybody threw them on a bus. The problem is the way the technology is designed, if you're not going to... Okay, so here's part of this, okay? So understand that if they put equipment down here that would survive a Massachusetts winter, the problem is it won't survive a Texas summer. So if you make it to survive a Texas summer, it won't survive a Massachusetts winter. Okay, because when you're dealing with green energy, there's a lot of things in play. It's not as simple as the turbine spins and it collects electricity. The sun shines and the panels collect electricity. There's a lot more behind it. And a lot of people are just ignorant because they believe what the media tells them that, oh, no, it works flawlessly this way. It doesn't. It's actually kind of complicated. It could be done, but it's kind of complicated. But then you get this once in a 500-year storm that comes through and the system fails. Okay? And it fails because they can't prepare for a once in 500-year storm. Green is not just wind and solar. There are others. Diversity is key. Some are not susceptible to those storms. Yes, there is lots of other green energies that are not susceptible to this, but they dumped a lot of this in because here's the thing. The governor of the state of Texas and the lieutenant governors may be Republicans, but Democrats were running the state assembly. They're the ones who voted for these initiatives. They're the ones who put these initiatives in to start making Texas green. They didn't pre-plan this out for backups and scenarios because they were all sold on green. And it didn't work out the way that they had planned for a once in 500-year storm. Okay? So it didn't work out the way they planned. It's not, and when you really think about it, it's not really anybody's fault because it's a once in 500-year storm. That not having a backup plan just in case, that was everybody that was involved in that's fault. Everybody had a piece of that action, all the way from Abbott all the way down. Did not have a sufficient backup plan just in case something happens. That's everybody's fault. But to sit there and say, like I said, to say we're going to completely switch tomorrow is bullshit. It's not going to happen. It needs to be implemented over time. Things need to be implemented over time. And then it will work. And I'm all for it. And I want it to happen. But I get sick and tired of all these celebrities lecturing me that it needs to happen today. Well then, genius, if you think it needs to happen today, lead the charge, start heading out into the desert, and start building this shit, and I'll follow you. The only problem is you don't really get cell service out in the desert, and you don't really have good GPS out in the desert. I know I've spent time in the desert, and best of luck, because I'm going to sit there and just stare at you like Moses' followers did, going, where are we going? Now he had a plan, but still, They didn't even have cell phones back in Moses' day. I know some of you can't believe that there was a world without the internet and without cell phones and without GPS. Sometimes you just looked up at the sky, and that's how you navigated. People also forgot the backup plans failed, part of the grid failed. It's a problem for any system, such in extreme cases. And like I said, Zion Bryn, the issue is it's a once in 500 year storm. There's no way in hell in the state of Texas to plan for that. Nobody was alive the last time it pulled a storm that bad. All right, so let's move on to my second story of the night, and this is in the Ahmaud Arbery case. Of course, you guys are familiar with Greg and Travis McMichaels. They were found guilty for murdering Ahmaud Arbery. I keep saying Arbery. Okay, there's the dad and the son right there. We all know they got convicted of it. Okay. So today, what we found out was that the federal case against them for hate crimes, the attorneys representing the McMichaels reached a plea deal with the federal prosecutor. Now everybody sat there today, and I was looking at the responses, and they were all screaming racism. Oh, this is racist that they got a plea deal. BLM even said it. This is racist. They got a plea deal. We need to fight this. Don't accept the plea deal. All right, folks, let me explain how this works. The guy with the law degree here. Okay? This happens all the time. It doesn't matter what color you are. There are certain opportunities in cases, especially if it's one that's going to get drug out and it's going to cost them a lot of money to do the case, where they will make plea deals with you. And what they'll do is, look, if you admit that you're guilty of a hate crime, let's say in this one, they admit that they're guilty of a hate crime. Instead of us having to go through this long, lengthy trial and costing the taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars, it would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually. What we're going to do is we're going to offer you a deal. Now, nobody said what the deal is yet because I've looked it up everywhere. There is no deal, and if you come across saying, well, this is what the deal is, it's bullshit. It's a rumor. The feds have not released what the agreement of the deal is. Neither have the attorneys for the McMichaels, okay? But there was a deal made. This happens all the time. Let's say that you murdered somebody, and they got you dead to rights, but you're sitting there saying you want to plead guilty. They'll usually walk in and look at you and go, okay, so here's the deal. We're going to offer you a deal. Instead of you getting the death penalty, we're going to give you life without parole. But you got to plead guilty, and you've got to accept that you did this, and you got to get up in court and state, why you did it. There's usually some little thing there. It's like you got to get up in court and make a statement. Okay? But this happens across the board. It doesn't matter what color you are. If the DAs can find a way to save money, save the taxpayers money, if the prosecution, the federal prosecution can find a way to save some money and to save the lunacy, because here's the deal. Here's another reason. I guarantee you this was another reason why they went with this deal. The concern that if the McMichaels fought this and a federal court determined that there wasn't enough evidence for it to be a hate crime, getting this plea deal agreement prevents riots. So there's a couple factors that are thought of in there to get this done and over with. Now, of course, there'll be a sentencing hearing, and because they'll make a determined, and even though you plead guilty and there's a plea deal, there's still going to be a sentencing hearing. They have to officially go into court. A plea deal has been reached. The judge will hear what the plea deal is. The prosecution says that they agree to it. The attorneys for the McMichaels say they agree to it. The McMichaels say that they agree to it. And then the judge looks at it and makes sure that the plea deal matches along with what's allowed by law. If everything checks off, then the judge will enter it into record, and then the McMichaels will get whatever that agreement is. Understand that they're serving life without the possibility of parole in the state of Georgia now as it is. then the feds got him after it. Now, the feds could turn around and call jurisdiction on it, especially if it's a lighter sentence than life without parole. Have them serve the federal sentence first, and then once they serve the federal sentence, then they're transferred back to the state of Georgia. Now, the state of Georgia say, no, we did it first, therefore we get priority. These guys are never going to see the light of day. They're not going to be out in the public. Okay? They're not. They're gone forever. But this whole bullshit that going on about how this is racist, folks, it's part of the legal system. This is not just because they're white guys did they get a plea deal. No, their attorneys and the federal prosecutors had this discussion. All attorneys and lawyers will have this discussion at some point if both sides believe that there's a possibility it could not end well for their sides. They'll make plea deal agreements. Okay? It has nothing to do with race. I really wish we would stop trying to find every little fucking thing that's racist, because somebody said it today. I was watching an interview with somebody. If you dig hard enough, you can apply racism to anything. And if you do that your life is miserable. The sky was blue today. You could find a way to say that. I mean, hell, I saw a story. I saw the University of Washington came out with a study today that says that the professionalism mantra is racist. Because, and this is what they said, because people of color do not have the ability to acquire things to give a professional appearance. So that's another group of white people sitting there, in a university, liberals again, trying to tell black people what's racist. That y'all are poor and ignorant. Again. When are you guys going to stop buying into this bullshit? Seriously, when are you going to stop? The ones that actually need to be canceled are the morons doing this. The University of Washington needs to be canceled for doing dumb crap like this. I cannot believe the stories that I've read about this and how there is not absolute outrage marching on these universities and these scholars claiming this crap. Just behooves me. Just absolutely behooves me. You guys should be... You want to protest it out? Get behind University of Washington saying this stupid racist ass shit against black people. I'll go to University of Washington with you and protest that. I am sick and tired. I am sick and absolutely tired of watching these leftist elitists sit here and determine to people of color and minorities what is and what isn't racist to them. I'm sick and tired of them telling those communities what they should hate and what they should do. I'm sick and tired of it. That's where the problems are in this country, is all this bullshit fake hate that they're spreading to other people, and they're dictating to you how to live your life. This is insane. It's absolutely insane. And speaking of, since I brought him up tonight, Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about that organization. Remember, I ran a story on Friday. I told you about how $60 million disappeared from their funds. Well, they've retrieved it. Evidently, it was a filing error. Sure it was. Well, the co-founder of Black Lives Matter. Let's see. We've heard about this person before when it comes to Black Lives Matter and money. Because Black Lives Matter, the organization, is a scam. It's a scam and it's a terrorist organization. Okay, but it's a scam. It is. Black Lives Matter moved millions of dollars to a charity in Canada, run by the wife of co-founder Patrice Coulars. I forgot how you pronounce her name properly. to purchase another mansion. Let's see. That puts, what, one in Georgia? Oh, that's two. No, there was, what, four, I think, in Georgia. In a gated community. Okay. One in Los Angeles and one in New Orleans. Okay. Now we bought one in Canada. M4BJ, which is the nonprofit base in Toronto, that was set up in part by Janaya Khan, bought a 10,000 square foot mansion for $6.3 million in July. Okay. Now, once it started getting out what they had done, of course, now it became it's now a center for artistic something, and it's a 10,000 square foot mansion. Okay, $6.3 million. And you want to run your nonprofit organization to support people, black lives, and you took $6.3 million in July to do this. When you can take that $6.3 million and invest it back into the communities, the most hardest hit communities in the black community, okay, to help get those communities better, education to stop killing each other, which I went into that story on Friday as well, okay? So, but instead, or you could take the $6.3 million. Here's another idea. You could buy an office building that's already built and employ a bunch of people. But instead, we buy a 10,000 square foot mansion. Zion Brand, notice they always wrap it up in race, but it's really about class. The racism is the POC are all poor are POC, and and is incapable of whatever they're griping about. See, yeah, exactly. They constantly tell they keep telling you that the reason why this stuff is racist is because they're not capable. Like I said, I cannot believe for the life of me why people buy into this. And they constantly degrade the black community in this process. They're constantly degrading that community. And once again, Black Lives Matter bought another mansion to run their nonprofit organization out of. Because why? If you've got way too much money, you start getting hit. And so now they're dumping it into more mansions and more places. It's kind of getting like, what is it, Verizon? More bars and more places? Or is that AT&T? I don't fucking remember. But they just keep doing it. But here's the thing. This time around, a lot of people, this was very negative, and they ended up losing quite a few thousand members over the past since this was found out and put out there. People are getting sick and tired of these two because they keep taking the money that keeps getting dumped into the organization, and they keep buying themselves crap. They're not helping out their communities like they say they are. They're not helping out getting black people employed, and they're not helping out the communities in education about togetherness and how the community needs to come together and put its foot down to take care of its community. No, that's not what they're doing. They sit here and tell you that all white people are evil, and you give them money to keep pressing that message, and they take your money instead of putting it back into the community, and they spend it on themselves. It's a fucking scam. Period. That's all it is. And if you've donated to them, congratulations. All you've done is funded them and their scam. Meanwhile, lots of people have gotten You can in Canada. So Zaya Brin said, can you even run a community center out of a house? Zoning laws say no business above a certain amount of foot traffic in a neighborhood. Actually, where this, what makes it, they're Marxist. The guy who used to own that mansion was a communist. Canada's a little bit different. I can look into that more if you want on zoning laws. But I know in a lot of places in the United States you can't do that because especially you're talking about a $6.3 million mansion. I'm pretty sure they don't want a community center run out of their neighborhood. And why would you buy a mansion in a neighborhood like that, to just intentionally piss everybody off? No, it's because you're going to live there. You want somewhere to go when they find out the amount of fraud that you've committed. Because that's exactly what it is. These two have committed all kinds of fraud. And eventually it's going to come out. People, it's sad because the statement Black Lives Matters, the actual saying is important. What they did with it is just atrocious. And it is horrific. All right, let me burn through these next couple things real quick. So, the Super Bowl. If any of you took my picks from Friday when I said I was really feeling the Niners, well, one of them I got right. I got one right, I think. No, I said Niners Chiefs. I literally did. I said Niners Chiefs. Got it completely wrong. If any of you out there went and bet on my picks, don't blame me. I don't usually pick the Super Bowl right ever. I picked Super Bowl who's going to the Super Bowl twice in the 40 plus years I've been watching it. I picked it right twice. And no, for those of you who know I'm an Eagles fan, I don't pick the Eagles every single year. Hell, for the last couple of years, I've told you the Eagles ain't going nowhere. The Eagles going to the toilet bowl. Because they went to the punch bowl and the chip bowl too many times. I've been saying that since day one. I'm not a delusional Dallas Cowboys fan that thinks, oh, look, we won a game. We're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not one of them. Okay. But anyway, the Rams and the Chiefs, or the Rams and the Niners game, it's actually a pretty good game. Came down to the wire on that one. The Bengals and the Chiefs game went into overtime. It was another phenomenal game. There's a little bit of controversy with it, but it was still came down to the last second, hard fought. Now everybody's like, "Oh, I think it's going to be the Rams. Oh, I think it's going to be the Bengals." I'm not making a prediction. Why? Because I'm just going to watch the game and enjoy it. Because if these two quarterbacks and these offensive lines and defenses, and if both these teams play the caliber football they've been playing the last couple of weeks, it's going to be a good goddamn game. Now, because I said that, it's going to be a fucking blowout. But anyway, congratulations to the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals. It's the first time that the Bengals have been to the Super Bowl in over 30 years. And in that one they went to in 89, I think. They lost. The Rams return after 20 years, and they won their only Super Bowl that year. Also, understand that the Super Bowl is in Los Angeles at their new stadium. And it's only the second time in history that a home team has hosted the Super Bowl and been in it, which Tom Brady did it first with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you say what you want, but Tom Brady got there first. And no, I'm not a Tom Brady guy. And by the way, the rumors out there, the bullshit rumors out there about Tom Brady retiring, Tom Brady has not announced he's retiring. Stop with that bullshit every freaking year. Tom Brady retiring. Just stop. I'm pretty damn sure Tom Brady will hold a press conference when he's retiring, and you can be done with it. Stop with that horse shit. You guys are about as silly as Dallas Cowboys fans thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl after they win one game. Okay? Just knock it off. All right. Final note for tonight, and it's not a good one. Guy's picture I just put up on the screen, that's Max Fortuna. He's fire captain in Stockton. Today, while fighting a dumpster fire in Stockton, Captain Fortuna lost his life. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, because the thing is, Captain Fortuna, is that the right one? That's not the right one. I'm trying to turn off some stuff. There we go. Captain Fortuna was shot and killed while on the scene of a dumpster fire. You know, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. And police are not have not put out a statement as to why this has happened. They did arrest the person that shot and killed him. But when firefighters go to a call, they know there's a possibility they might die. That fire alarm may be their last. Something may go wrong and they not make it home. But the last thing a firefighter or paramedic should have to worry about is going to a fire scene and getting shot to death. Firefighters don't wear Kevlar vests. Now, I have heard there's paramedics in some cities that do. But firefighters don't wear bulletproof vests. And they're not focused on a crowd of people that are watching what they're doing. They're focused on their mission. Their mission is to save lives and put the fire out, to rescue people from car accidents, to stop the gas leaks, and put the fires out so it doesn't kill a bunch of people around the area. But they show up and then they get shot for what they're doing. Like I said, I don't know what the hell's going on in the United States of America right now. I have no idea. But now y'all shooting first responders. There's I get sometimes the argument is, when it comes to cops, they know what they're doing and they know they could get shot and killed or stabbed or whatever doing their job, and they accept that reality. Firefighters should never have to consider that a reality. A firefighter should not be going to a fire scene wondering, I wonder if I'm going to get shot. They've got so much that they have to think about, that not only keeping themselves and their fellow firefighters alive, but then saving other people's lives and putting the fire out and being able to do the investigation afterwards to determine whether or not this was intentional or not, and then trying to help put the bad guy in jail so he doesn't go burn down more shit. They have a lot of things they have to worry about and a lot of things they have to focus on while they're doing it. The last thing on this earth that a firefighter really needs to fucking worry about is being shot. Paramedics, the last thing they need to worry about is being shot. They're not there to arrest you. They're not there to stop you from, doing things. That's what the cops do. The cops show up to arrest you. The cops stop you from doing a thing. The firefighters are there to save people's lives, put the fires out, get people out of the cars and get them to the hospital. The paramedics are there to make sure people live long enough to get them to the hospital, to get them fixed. They shouldn't have to worry about being shot. There is a special place in hell for someone that shoots firefighters and paramedics. Now, I don't know what's going on in this country, but some of y'all crazy ass people need to stop. Seriously, you need to stop. To Captain Fortuna, rest easy now, my brother. Your watch is over. We have the watch. Godspeed, brother. May prayers be with your family and all our brothers and sisters and firefighters out there tonight as they mourn your loss over absolute senselessness. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson, and I've got to get. I have a meeting I'm supposed to go to. I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful night out there. Let's see what the night looks like for us. That's not the one I needed. Where is it? It's here somewhere. There we go. And it's still a little wet out there, a little cloudy, but you know, guess what? The sun is set here. But it'll rise in the morning. Remember that. If I leave you with anything, remember I'll leave you with this. Stop the fake hate. Stand up to it. Bring it to stop it. And make sure you go out there and you be excellent to each other. We're human beings. It's not that hard to be excellent to each other. You guys have yourselves a wonderful night. For everybody here at the Rich Wilson Show, I'm signing off. We'll see you. Good night.